Hello everyone, this is Ghaoithe from Wyrmrest Accord. Today I wanted to share with you some rare but still obtainable armors from World of Warcraft. Whether you are a collector or looking to make gold in the unique item market, these items may be a welcome addition to your inventory. In case you missed my last video about rare weapons, I have a few ground rules for an item to make the cut. First of all, the armor must still be in game. There are plenty of truly rare items like the chromatic breastplate that are no longer available, but I want to focus on pieces that you can still farm today. Second, I stayed away from the black market auction house and salvage crate items. Many items that were once removed from the game are now back thanks to the black market, but the focus of this video will be dropped items. In most cases, rare drops are still the only way to obtain these unique pieces. Also, unlike my last video, these are in no particular order. Armors not only cover a huge variety of pieces, but more importantly, changes to drop tables over the years have made several pieces equally rare from the same instances. But I will get to that in a minute. With that said, let's get started. To start off, it's important to understand how drop tables were changed with Cataclysm. Many instances had their loot tables changed with the expansion, and so those items are no longer obtainable. However, some did not necessarily change their loot tables, but the mob levels were changed so that certain items were out of the required eye level range for most mobs to drop them. In a few cases, both the mobs and item levels carried just enough overlap that equipment could still be found. Instead of being common drops from an entire instance like they were in vanilla, these items now only drop for mobs that cross that threshold. Most of the time, that means these armors only come from higher leveled creatures that have roughly the same eye level as the dungeon had before Blizzard lowered them with Cataclysm. Sound confusing? Well, think of it this way. Most armors only drop from creatures within, say, 3 or so eye levels. If an item has an eye level of 50, and all the mobs of a zone start at 47, then it would be a dungeon-wide drop. However, if Cataclysm lowered those creatures down to, say, 45 or 46, then that armor suddenly becomes much harder to find and may only drop from bosses or end-of-zone mobs that creep back into that eye level 47 range. So what used to be items that were found every couple of runs are now only found every few hundred, if not thousands of runs, because so few creatures still have them on their loot table. One of the prime examples of this change is Uldaman. Over the years, it has become a hotspot for rare item farming because of its changes to mob levels. There are several items that can still drop in the zone, but only at a rate of once every 1,000 runs or so. The Miner's Hat of the Deep is probably the most infamous piece, though almost any blue bind unequipped drop in the instance can still sell for tens of thousands of gold. The Miner's Hat is a fairly unique headpiece that looks like, well, a miner's hat, complete with a flashlight on top. The helm has become highly sought after by collectors for its unique look and roleplay possibilities. It's a rarity on server auction houses, with prices in the hundreds of thousands. Those looking to add it to their collection can expect quite a few runs, with the most recent reports saying that it can still drop from the ancient treasure chest at the end of the dungeon. It could still come from a few of the boss mobs, but the sample size is way too small to know for sure. Another great example are the Hotshot Pilot's Gloves from Gnomeregan. This dungeon went through quite a few significant changes with Cataclysm, but a few items on its loot table can still be found. These Hotshot gloves are the most famous, but a few other rare BOEs and recipes can be found for those with the patience. The gloves gained some notoriety recently when they were found by Twitch streamers during gold making competitions, so they are confirmed to drop. However, much like the Miner's Hat, don't expect it to go for any less than a few 100,000 gold. It's unclear whether the gloves can only drop from bosses, though I have found other pieces from random mobs in the dungeon. Those looking for just the transmog might have better luck with the Bloody Surgeon's mitts in the Blood Furnace. The Gloom Shroud armor chest piece from Shadowfang Keep has been a steady seller among rare item collectors. For some time, it was a top-tier choice among PvP twinks, though that has seen some decline with the release of Legion. Still, farming the keep can still yield plenty of other nice finds like the Shadowfang sword, if you're willing to give it a look, and the market prices for Gloom Shroud have remained steadily around 150,000 gold. Those looking for the transmog do have plenty of other choices that do share the model. Speaking of shrouds, the Corpse Shroud headpiece is a popular rarity found within Razorfin Downs. Its bonnet-style hood offers a rare look that has become popular for transmogs and RP servers. It is one of the cheaper rares, coming in at an average of 30,000 gold. Those after the look can find other options in slightly different colors. If you are lucky enough to join the Legion pre-patch event, you may have Elena's bonnet, which is no longer available. Rounding out the dungeon-specific items are Mar Alam's Grip. Though they won't win any design awards, these gloves nonetheless go for about 70,000 plus on the auction house. Found within Blackrock depths, they can be found on a variety of bosses and mobs throughout the dungeon, but have a very low drop rate. The bright green hands might help round out those Druid transmog sets if you're in the market. Of course, not every rare item is a result of the Cataclysm changes. Some simply have a very low drop rate, or they're extremely popular for transmog purposes and just don't stay on the auction house very long. The Cloak of Flames is one example of an item that just doesn't show up all that often. Found off mobs in the Molten Core, this cloak is an epic drop that sometimes gets lost in the shuffle for farmers of Thunder Fury or the Isle Sephirin. It tends to drop off Molten Giants or Lava Annihilators, though any mob has a small chance to drop it in the zone. Next time you are planning a weekly run, make sure to loot the trash, and you just might find a nice 30,000 gold in your pocket. Among the most popular items for transmog purposes are the Glorious and Jade plate sets. I like to call these the bug sets, as they are mostly farmed in Silithus and Encourage 20. They are technically found in any game zone though, so don't be afraid to move on if you're just not having any luck. Unlike most items on this list, these are actually green items that just have very low drop rates as world drops. The leg plates of these sets in particular can ratchet up into the hundreds of thousands on most auction houses. I'll leave you to interpret why that is. Not every rare is from vanilla. In fact, one of the most sought after shoulder sets in the game are actually from just a couple of expansions ago. The Tusks of Manaroth. These are the iconic shoulder pads of Garrosh Hellscream and can only be found from heroic or mythic Siege of Orgrimmar. Because of mechanics, this raid usually requires at least a small group, and the Tusks only drop from Garrosh himself, so you probably have to go through the entire zone. Even then, some players report hundreds of runs before seeing them drop, and you'll likely be fighting other plate wearers for them. In the future, you might be able to solo this raid, but these are still some of the rarest shoulders in the game at the moment. To wrap things up, we'll take a look at another rare set of robes. Now, you can wear these on any class, but finding them might be the most difficult task on this list. It's not a rare dungeon drop, or any kind of epic task of skill. In fact, all you have to do is wait around in Moonglade. The Formal Dangui is a common item sold by Jania's Sunshadow, the specialty dressmaker in Moonglade. What makes these robes so difficult to get is that she only makes one at a time, and the spawn rate is completely unknown. There are some estimates that she only makes around 6 of these sets in an entire year. Only Blizzard knows for sure. In any case, buying one of these off the auction house will set you back no less than a couple 100,000 gold, and there are usually less than 20 for sale across all US servers at any given time. If you want to buy it the old-fashioned way, then give about 200 gold to an alt and just park them next to Jania so you can check every few hours. That concludes this look at rare but obtainable armors in World of Warcraft. Feel free to leave your personal favorites or any items I might have missed in the comments below. Happy farming, and thanks for watching.